coalition and solidify growing urgency for cohesion within our communities. We seek and dedicate ourselves to not only organizing the convention and identifying issues for today, but also to seeing that a framework for tomorrow is properly molded. Leadership is also a focus of this summit. It is our goal to ensure that an atmosphere and forum for identifying and preparing future leaders and representatives is created. Such a forum will seek to assure an organized and structured process for designating true leadership for and from the communities. Finally, this summit will serve as a cornerstone that will help shape the future of Nassau County and help define, for once, a meaningful and equal role for the African American and Hispanic residents that have for too long gone underrepresented and, in fact, unrepresented. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. John L. Kears, who will talk about why a minority political convention for Nassau County Legislative District 1 and 2. Mr. Kears.
Good morning. As most of you know, I did have the distinguished pleasure to represent what I determined to be the minority community's interests primarily, and the interests of Nassau County on the government revision commission. I served as the vice chairperson to that group. But I never lost sight of the reason why we were there. We had come to that place at that time to make deliberations which had been demanded of us by the court, the federal court, when it handed down its decision that said that minority residents of the County of Nassau were entitled to representation based upon our constitutional right of one man, one vote, one person, one vote, I should say, and that we should be enabled to elect representation of our choice. As I found in the earlier sessions of the commission, it is very difficult to somehow transmit to the public at large the fact that the minority community had achieved a much sought after goal in terms of being able to elect a representative of their choice. Those are the words embodied in the court order. In trying to bring closure to this process, it was determined that the only way that the minority community could effectively say to the electorate that they are, in fact, being called to the polls in November of this year to cast a ballot for a representative of their choice would be for the community itself to determine who those representatives or candidates would be who would run for those representative seats. In order to accomplish that goal, it was then determined that the community needed to be convened in a nominating convention, a convention of the minority community, out of which, after a screening of candidates and a determination by people from both the Democratic and Republican Party, it is intended that there be elected or selected 2 candidates for each seat from each party. The reason for the 2 candidates is to provide each party with the candidates that this community has determined would be their best choices for the job, and that the party, in order to keep faith with the community, would have no choice but to select from those 2 candidates the candidate that the parties would endorse and support.
Continued. This is the 1990s. We know what they're doing in Washington.
Happy about what's going on. I think it's very, very important that what takes place in our future gets started today. And this is just the first step along a long trail that we have to undertake. The selection of individuals that will be representing our communities is of the utmost importance. Not only because we're trying to get people that look like us, not only because they're people that should be coming from our communities, but what we want to do is get the best and the brightest that can take on those fights that have to be taken on. There are serious questions that affect every African American and every Hispanic in Nassau County, and up until this point there's been no input from anyone that's been an elected official to really handle those questions. Questions such as infant mortality. There's no need why we should be at 1975 levels.
It's called Health, Education, and Welfare Committee. Huh? Health, Education, Welfare Committee, in those days, Labor Committee, whatever they call it. And then appended to that, of course, was the fact that he sat on the Appropriations Committee also as a ranking member. But we haven't heard about Adam too much this time. See, because our history must be relegated to the history of slavery and our survival of that 400-year journey. And everyone thinks that we have survived. We haven't survived. Don't stop me. Because this is tantamount to that. This is so on course with that, it's not funny. And the thing about it is that we are still preaching the sermon of self-deprecation, not only to ourselves as adults, but also to our young people who are coming behind us, who've got to pick up the torch and carry it. One of the things I'm pleased with today is the fact that we got some young people here. And I welcome you as leaders. I welcome you as leaders because that's what this is supposed to be about. Minority Community Leadership Summit, so that we can plan and plot for our future. But it didn't happen. What I'm trying to say is it didn't all just happen. We're not here by accident or by chance. It was an awful lot of hard work from an awful lot of different people to make that happen and make that possible. Because if we, as a community, have elected this individual, or those individuals, because we do have a shot at 2 seats, have elected those individuals, then we have elected our representative. We have elected, freely elected, our representative. And that's the key. I want to also let you know what the party chair people know, what the party hierarchy know as well. They know that what we're about to do, what we're here to do today, is a violation of the greatest magnitude in terms of politics. It is an infringement, if you will, upon the authority and power of the chairman of these parties, who have traditionally sat back, and I'm going to quit and let people who know it better than me. I'm only talking from observation.
Got it right.
Sat back and said to an executive leader, right? It's your turn now, come up with a candidate from your district, right? And it's your turn now, come up with a candidate from your district. And you bring your candidate that you think is the best candidate that you can find to represent your interests. And they sit there and sit in judgment of your judgment.
And with the party chairman pretty much dictating who was going to be on the roster for selection. If we present those people that we feel that we want to represent us, and none of these chairmen accept them, what is our, or is there an alternative?
I have made a commitment that I have no problem sharing with anybody here, because you are the people that I care about. And my commitment is that any party chairman who has the audacity to spit in our face, right, prepares themselves for a primary for whomever it is that they put out there. All right? Primary. Solid primary. Absolute primary. You understand? Because we'll stomp their candidates into the dirt.
Any other questions?
Peterson, those are our dollars. Those are our dollars. We represent the people, and it's our responsibility to take a stand and say no more. We're not sitting back, and we're going to organize. I just wrote down some things. Organizing means hard work. The talking drum that we have in the community, I see we have some media here, which is good, that represent us. But we have to beat the drum in our community and in Nassau County and take
to plan out our convention, so that I could answer the one about what happens if they thumb us down, because I committed to that up front. But again, it's your decision. That's what I'm saying. It's your decision as to what else we would want to do. Whether or not we're only talking about the major parties at this point. Maybe the consensus is that we ought to be talking about something. No, I don't know.
Be knocking on the different doors, signing the petitions for the two different candidates for the two different parties. How do you prevent the double signature of the individuals?
They're the first person that gets out with their petitions. It's the first date that they go by. So when you're carrying petitions, it behooves the person to get out early at a timely fashion. You have to be very careful how you get the signatures. Every I has to be dotted, every T is crossed, middle initials put in. You got to make sure you have it just right, because they will be challenged.
You have to make sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. You have to make sure that it's consistent with the way in which you have signed it
right
in the book.
Exactly. We hope to have canvas books that we get at the Board of Elections. As you go out for your petitions, you will go exactly by the name, the way it's written.
They have not put their act together. They have not worked together. And unfortunately, we are divided. And forces to be, when the election comes, they win. And they give us the crumbs at the end. At this time, it's Nassau County. And every single district is influenced by our faces, our color, our language. Hispanics have to team up, come out, register, and voice their desire of who they want to be represented by. There's no point of going back. We can only go forward.
Or where there was going to be a party, or where there wasn't going to be something like that, where we sat down to plan for our future. And then as you look around the room, I think we need to congratulate ourselves, because we're here for a real purpose. What we do here this morning is going to set the stage, John, if you will, for a lot of things. Not just in Nassau County. People are focused on what's going on here on Long Island, Nassau County. The people in the city are looking at what's going on. People in other states are looking at what's going on, because what we have here is a very unique opportunity to not just mold government, but simply strike it out and put in place the opportunity where there was never any opportunity before. We've never, in the history of the county of Nassau, had the opportunity to have any input, not a little, any input in what goes on, what happens with your taxes, what happens with your tax assessment, what happens with the budget on a yearly basis. We've never had any input. And that's why this is so important. And I applaud John, I applaud the committee for pulling this together, because this is what is scaring a lot of folks. And we have to talk about it the way it is. The fact of the matter is that the fact that we are here this morning scares people that hold power. Because power is what they've used to control our destinies for so long. The power of the budget, the power of the vote, the power of the numbers of people who are making the decisions and determinations about our daily lives. That's why this is important. This is scary to some people, but it's so encouraging to others, and I think that that's something that we've got to look at.
The same community, and we will talk about what was done. And we will have not only the 2, but also the 17 others, Amen. If they want to show. Amen. The other thing is the question of how you deal with petitions. The mechanical part, being a zone leader in Westbury, the mechanical part, and you have to understand, this is one part of the political process in which many of our folks in this country have not really been educated to. The mechanical part is this. You put up 2 Democrats, and they don't select any. You go into the election books, and you pull out the Democratic people in those election books, and you have them sign your petition. A petition consists of 20 names. What is needed for the county legislature? I'm going to tell you how many names. 500. You don't want to come with 500. You want to come with 2,000. Now, there are people in the respective parties who carry petitions. They're called committee people. Those committee people are throughout among all of us. We have Republican committee people here, we have Democratic committee people here, we have zone leaders here. That's how you work it mechanically. Now, what's going on in Albany and what's gone on in Washington, D.C., first let's talk of Albany. They have a big weekend. What offends us and what we ought to get to our elected representatives, whether they're from Buffalo or Long Island, we have to tell them, look, you got to move that from Albany. You got to move it around the state. What is wrong with that? Come to the people. Don't have the people come to you so you can party. The Black Caucus in Washington, D.C. is a disgrace. They have their little meetings and give each other adulation. They should be around this country. Our kids need them. Why are they sitting in Washington, D.C.? They should come to New York. They should go to Alabama. They should go to Chicago. They need to come. The only time we are strong.
Note, $3 billion budget. $3 billion budget.
Good morning, Billy. How are you? Hey, Bill.
To make sure that that kind of stuff happens. That's how real it is. But I'm also saying that we can all EOC, which is what I was originally trying to correct.
Appearance of influence, and I'm not saying that should be a fast rule right now. I'm just saying that's something we need to consider.
Right.
And I'm just throwing this out to the floor.
See, because I was also going to tell the chairman that before, it's all right for us to collect the money, but we really have to give folks a chance to indicate their choice of committees.
That's all I'm trying to get you. I'm trying to get you there now. Okay, right.
Yeah, we got to break out.
I mentioned that what I was trying to get done.
So, Andrew, you running?
Billy, I'm putting you to work.
You running for one of the seats?
Pass the sheet around. Put down the 4 committees.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.